All right. So Glenda Green says, as I pause to think, I realize how many false perceptions we have about kindness, how conveniently we settle for social courtesy and consideration as the limits of kindness, how readily we show concern while avoiding true involvement. How many children have been indulged when a warm hug and a firm no would have been the greatest kindness? How easily have we indulged ourselves when restraint would have been the greater kindness? How often have we worried all night pacing the floor when going to sleep would have been the greatest kindness? How frequently have we contemplated revenge when we should have forgiven and released? So in order to develop the intelligence of kindness, you must discover the joy of truly giving and forgiving, no strings attached, not even so much as for the glory or recognition. A person who reserves his offerings only for exchange or control will soon lose the intelligence of kindness. Next, you must learn how to be kind to yourself. Now, some people are afraid of being kind to themselves for fear that represents weakness or may lead to indulgence. Others eat chocolate and watch TV all day. That's avoidance of life, not kindness. Such disabling habits exist because they do not know what kindness is. In expressing kindness, you are literally tapping into the intelligence of God. In expressing kindness, you are literally tapping into the intelligence of God. Understanding kindness for yourself, you're also understanding it for others. It is the will of God that you be kind to yourself and others. Kindness is the right use of will. Kindness is goodwill, expressed as caring, helping, refraining from hurtful actions, sharing, making life work, and consideration of others. Kindness is strength in action. The confidence that comes from showing kindness is a masterful influence over any situation. So think about how much strength it takes to honor your true potential instead of diminishing it. Consider how much strength it takes to show goodwill to someone who is hurting you. It takes courage and reliance on the foundation you've built with the 6 prior levels of the heart's intelligence, not to relapse as soon as you're triggered by a deep level survival fear. For example, the fear of being hurt, not having enough, being controlled, suppressed, or rejected. Again, for me, this is a lifelong ebb and flow. So even when there is a temporary regression in my trust in the universe, in my belief in forgiveness, in my belief that there is enough for me and for the world, the lag time for recovery is usually shorter, and the depth to which I sink is not as far. It's critical to recognize this and not believe you're starting from scratch or below every time your fear arises. Yes, the circle of enlightenment grows in its heights as well as in its depths. As we explore the universe, we're going to see more vast horizons and possibilities, and we're going to see more of the depths to which we can go. But the victory is in reclaiming your right to be increasingly solid in your center, your sacred heart, which is never further than a breath away. These concepts deepen for me each time I entertain them. So why would I not be kind in certain circumstances? Well, because I'm too busy, or because I don't have enough resources to shell out something for someone else. In other words, all of those fears of not enoughness make me live in a limited universe. And so I'm not relaxed enough to be kind. I'm always looking out for who is going to take advantage of me or what circumstance is going to overwhelm me. And so as we deal with our past traumas, using breath work, using whatever other techniques that we all know, it makes me actually more available to see the beauty of what it is just to share with someone, rather than, no, here's the money, give me the goods, I'm out of here. It's like, whoa, that's a human being with a beautiful smile. Okay, so kindness builds strength, and strength builds greater kindness. Glenda says as she looks around our culture that there's evidence of an awakening to kindness in ways that were not present a few decades earlier. I mean, simple marketing concepts like consumer-friendly, user-friendly, gives some evidence that businesses are now paying attention to the power of kindness. So let's be realistic. Whose merchandise would you rather purchase? That of an unkindly business or a friendly one? For whom do you desire to work? A supportive company or an abusive one? Who tends to generate more personal empowerment? Whose products will serve you better? Would you want an automobile that's engineered by a company with hostile management practices? I even have an artist friend here in the city I live in, Milwaukee, that created an app for her All Kind project, which allows you to stretch yourself with kindness challenges and be supported by other participants on this app from around the world. So Yahshua compared the universe to a fine piece of equipment which works beautifully when operated sensitively and intelligently. So kindness is not just caring we give to the helpless and the vulnerable. Kindness is the consummating dimension of the heart's intelligence, the will of God for life itself. He said, when I use the word intelligence, do not confuse it with the detachment of mental reasoning. True intelligence is merely certainty and understanding, which bring both clarity and passion to life. Now, honestly, it took me several times for that to sink in. True intelligence is merely certainty and understanding, which bring both clarity and passion to life. So a person operates with that sense of wisdom and intelligence when they have certainty that they are love and an understanding that, as they say, love is what makes the world go round. And that brings a clarity and a passion. So they're engaged. And you know what? They're successful at what they engage in. Another way of saying the same thing is that within the Sacred Heart are 7 passions: unity, love, life, respect, honesty, justice, and kindness. When you think of them as passions, they bring understanding and focus to living. Now, altogether, they generate compassion, which is the soul's true knowing. So, our next written exercise is to water the seeds we've planted in our consciousness over these past 7 modules by envisioning their growth over the next year. So, in a minute, you will write on handout 2, my Sacred Heart Vision. You write one way you see yourself growing in each of the 7 levels of the heart's intelligence over the next year. Now, if you have the courage to envision it and feel it, you will have universal support in its manifestation. It's clever just to write things down because they sound good or they seem right. But this is about embodying it, feeling it, and seeing it deepen over the next year in your life. So how I envision myself growing over the next year in my heart's intelligence is unity is the first one. So again, I'm just giving examples here. Take whatever comes to you. But what came to me immediately is I have a daily practice of using and feeling the prayer of Our Father that is recommended by Yahshua. And I've changed the wording to fit it into my life for me. The wording goes like this, and I'm actually going to share it with everyone later because it came to me that this is something I want you to have, okay? So each morning, as I open my window and I look out into the sky, I feel, as I say, Our Father, whose innocence and purity. So it's like saying, oh, okay, this is where we come from. This is our source, purity and innocence. Holy is our being. May love be seen as all there is. May earth be seen as heaven is. So my mind is already thinking, oh, I got to do this, that, and the other thing. It's like, whoa, no, this isn't a contest. See how much I can get accomplished during the day. this is my opportunity to learn and grow from these 7 dimensions of the heart's intelligence. Nourish this day with our bountiful supply and allow us to receive fully as we give that right to others. My mind, when I say that, goes to people all over the planet and sending grace and mercy to people who live in areas where there's not much food, but there's perhaps love and care for one another. Reminds me, there was a book some years back by Carlos Castaneda, and he was a young sociologist who studied the Yaqui traditions, and he had a mentor named Don Juan who took him to Mexico and in the mountains and the villages there where the kids were just playing with sticks and stones. And he had lamented, oh, in the United States, kids have all these toys from Mattel and the plastic trucks. And he was brought up short by his teacher. And he said, many children have lots of things in the United States, but live in poverty with regards to love. These children that you see here in this village are loved by everyone in the village, cared for by everyone. So don't come with your judgments about how impoverished these people are. So it made an impression on them. So allow us to receive fully as we give that right to others. Restore us from the perils of illusion and renew our perception of truth. Perils of illusion are, we're all separate. It's dog eat dog. You're on your own, kiddo, for survival. Renew our perception of truth, our connection to each other, our connection to Source. For truth is the kingdom, love is the power, and ours is the glory forever. Amen. That all came as I was answering this first one about unity. You know, what is going to deepen my sense of unity over the next year? Well, it's to be with this prayer that I say every day and not just recite it, but feel it. Then love is the second one. So example I had is to see each dedication for the day in my daily journaling as a dedication to love. So what happened with me is I started to tie each of these 7 dimensions and how I was going to grow them over the next year into something that I'm already doing every day. You know, just say, oh, I'm going to contemplate love every day. Really? So I know I've had this practice for several years of I write down my dedication for the day, every day. I wrote down today, I dedicate this day to having a great final class with you all here. Okay? So it's something I'm already doing, and now I'm infusing this sense of putting love into each thing rather than, oh yeah, I gotta go shopping for whatnot. No. How can I put love into that? Life. Example, I see each occurrence during the day and acknowledgement for the day in my daily journaling, which I do in the evening. Again, so to see what life has served up for me. It wasn't just a series of experiences, but what was the gift and the learning that I received from that? For respect. Example for me was to notice when judgments of others arise, and as soon as possible, go to what respect for them I'm denying. You know, well, I don't like the way they live. I don't like what their policies are in government. I don't like. So find out when I'm not respecting them, what my judgments are, and what is the fear, and then go to that loving truth. By the way, this little thing of judgment, fear, loving truth, I really came about this teaching this course, and I'm going to keep using it because I love it. It's like the shorthand way, not going through extensive analysis. Analysis is fine, and we can do that, but we're getting quicker as consciousness evolves. We don't have to drag it out. We can just ask for answers and listen to the wisdom of our heart. Honesty, example, is identify the bodily feelings that arise when I sense I'm compromising honesty and breathe into the fears underneath them, allowing me to take right action. So I've recognized this, and I'm suspecting many of you have. When something isn't quite right, you know, I'm just going to do that anyhow and forget it. You know, What's going on in your body when something doesn't feel quite right? I'm not telling the whole truth here because you don't need to know it. Well, no, the truth is you don't need to tell everything about yourself to everyone. That's not honesty. That's verbal diarrhea. All right. But what does this situation call for? What is in integrity here? And if I hook that up to the barometer of my body, then my mind can't trick me so easily. Justice. Example here is find the just balance in the energy I expend and the fulfillment of my mission with the nonprofit organization that I co-direct. Because I find myself like, oh, I'm giving so much and I'm not getting, poor meat. And it's like, whoa, hold it. What is just here? And what do I want in return for what I'm giving? It doesn't mean tit for tat. Doesn't mean, oh, I got to have money for, but what is it that I'm withholding from myself when I give? As Joshua said, the joy of giving without having strings attached. So if I'm feeling put upon, then what are those strings that I have attached there? What am I not giving myself? Okay. And finally, kindness, an example is increasingly acknowledge the act of kindness I give and receive in my life till it becomes a habitual mode of operation. This doesn't mean that I got to well, I cleaned the dishes. That was kind. And then I read the paper. Oh, that was kind. And then, no, it's like looking at where I'm having decisions that come from my heart versus ones that I'm just kind of sleepwalking through life. Okay. Take handout two. I'm sorry if I've gone on too much on this, but I'm looking just to prime the pump so you can go a little deeper with this for yourself. Take my Sacred Heart vision, complete the 7 sections instinctively from your heart. Do not overthink, but listen to the intelligence of your heart and keep breathing easily as you do it. This will help germinating the seeds you have planted in your consciousness for each one of the past 7 classes that we've done. Complete the prompts on handout 2 now. And again, use a piece of paper. Don't use that as an excuse. I don't have the handout. Well, write it down on whatever. Let's do this together now. And keep breathing. And know that we're supporting one another in really nailing down the value of this for us to go through the next year. Well, and obviously then the rest of our life. Okay, come on back to the group. And again, if you did not complete this, you will have time, of course, to complete it later, which I encourage you to do. But let's take just a few shares, not reading this, that's your private account, but just what was useful for you in doing this exercise. Or what perhaps did you discover about yourself or the challenges in just attempting to write how you are going to deepen these 7 levels of consciousness? How was that for you?
I'm always surprised when you take words that I think I understand and then I have no clue, and then you give your personal explanation, which just confuses me even more.
Oh, good. Good.
But anyways, for me, what I like the thing is I'm getting ready to retire and I'm going for a new opportunity. And so for me, I noticed when I wrote down those things from my heart, they all seem to be tying in with my new situation and new life. And so how does that come about? And one of the things for me was coming in before this, I was thinking, I'm hoping to get some peace in my life now. And so I was thinking of trying to combine each one of these topics with how can that bring more peace in my life?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that is spot on because when they sink into me, it gives me a greater sense of confidence and peace, just being alive, not like, what's the next thing? And how to get, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Well, I could give you some of these answers, but it really amounts to just listening to my body, my heart, be
Yeah.
with my breath. It really amounts to that. Am I telling the truth? When my heart kind of feels like a clunk or a
Right, right.
Sometimes I do tend to be too open. I feel good disclosing things to people, and sometimes it hurts their feelings. they'd rather not hear it. So my mind needs to rescue me a little bit from that. Or my heart needs to tune into the other person's needs,
Ah,
not just my need to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like your first phrase, holy is our being. For me, it just really resonates well.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I like where you put your hand when you talk.
I'll do it again. It's I just had a wonderful cranial sacral session today where she encouraged me to do this. And she
Ah,
did so lovingly my spine from the back.
oh, beautiful. Beautiful.